How many times have you looked out over your pasture at dawn and wondered how long you'll rely on buying expensive industrial chicks batch after batch? That's the modern trap of the homestead, an endless cycle where the producer loses control over their own genetics. Out of this growing frustration comes today's deep dive, directly inspired by a question from Bobby, a seasoned producer in our community. Today, we're breaking that dependent cycle by engineering the ultimate cross. We're fusing the hardiness and relentless laying rhythm of a pasture powerhouse with the heaviest meat machinery on the market, utilizing fast-growing commercial lines. By mastering these genetic selection techniques, which the sharpest breeders already apply with massive success, you'll hatch exceptionally high-yielding hybrids. Picture birds with the broad chest of a commercial broiler and the physical vigor to hunt insects without collapsing under the sun. Total genetic independence is absolutely within reach. Let's begin. To grasp the engine driving this operation, we look at the maternal base, the Sasso hen. Hailing from France, this bird isn't a mere novelty. She's a relentless workhorse designed to thrive in alternative, free-range systems. She reaches sexual maturity at an ideal pace, kicking off her laying cycle between 20 and 22 weeks. Her feed conversion sits around 2.5 pounds of feed for every pound of body weight gained, an outstanding figure given her non-stop daily activity. Her true value shines in the nesting boxes, delivering between 180 to 220 premium-grade eggs annually. Her temperament is that of a born survivor. She's an active, alert forager, built with a solid bone structure designed for the rugged realities of the pasture, guaranteeing a steady supply of chicks that hatch with ironclad immunity, ready to tear into the dirt from day one. If the Sasso acts as our rustic chassis, we need to couple it with a massive, high-output engine. Enter the Cobb Rooster, a specialist engineered to pack on weight at a speed that defies the biology of the pasture. He hits his market weight in a mere 40 days indoors, boasting an astonishing feed conversion ratio of 1.5 pounds of feed per pound of meat. However, egg production in their commercial maternal lines presents an absolute logistical nightmare for any independent farmer, barely scratching past 100 eggs annually. His temperament is entirely lethargic. This is a dense, heavy bird completely devoid of any foraging instinct. His sole daily objective is to sit heavily by the feeder and pack on muscle tissue at a blistering pace, acting as a biological factory programmed to convert rations into broad breast meat. The second heavyweight contender is the Ross Rooster. This commercial giant stands out for an incredibly wide and rounded breast conformation, maximizing the sheer volume of white meat on the final carcass. His maturity, weight gain, and growth speed closely mirror the Cobb, achieving identical feed conversions hovering around 1.4. In terms of laying capacity, their breeding hens suffer from the exact same physical limitations dictated by their sheer bulk. His temperament is equally sedentary. The Ross male is a quiet colossus designed strictly for static indoor efficiency, lacking the agility required for survival outdoors. Yet, that dense block of pure protein is exactly the dominant physical trait we want to mercilessly inject into our rustic flock. Let's look at the actual outcome of our first genetic trial out in the dirt, the cross between the Sasso hen and the Cobb Rooster. Upon breaking the shell, this hybrid inherits a fascinating biomechanical blend. From his Sasso mother, he gains rock-solid legs, exceptional cardiovascular vigor, and the driving foraging instinct that keeps him active. From the Cobb father, he inherits a massive bone structure and an enormous capacity for nutrient assimilation. His growth won't be quite as explosive as a pure industrial bird, requiring between 10 and 12 weeks to reach an optimal slaughter weight, but he gets there without suffering heart attacks or crippled legs. The feed conversion stabilizes brilliantly, transforming pasture bugs and cracked corn into a dense, highly proportioned carcass that'll make you incredibly proud. The offspring from the Sasso-Ross cross present a slightly different muscular architecture. The chicks from this pairing exhibit a much more pronounced frontal development and breast expansion, appearing visually as compact, front-heavy birds. They share the same delayed maturity as the previous cross, demanding around 13 weeks for a flawless meat finish. The temperament of this specific hybrid tends to be slightly more passive, yet they retain the vital energy necessary to take full advantage of the pasture rotation. They'll happily consume rations from the hopper, but they never hesitate to vigorously scratch through the topsoil, achieving an exceptional profit margin for the seasoned producer who tracks every input. At this critical juncture, you might ask why this specific blueprint strictly requires Sasso hens instead of heavy meat birds. Why not just run a vigorous Sasso rooster over Cobb or Ross hens? The answer lies in the harsh reality of flock management. Heavy commercial females face monumental laying issues. They accumulate internal fat rapidly and demand severe daily feed restrictions to avoid collapsing from heart failure. Adding to this immense burden, their excessive body volume makes natural mating incredibly difficult, resulting in a disastrous rate of unfertilized eggs. Keeping industrial breeders in an active pasture setup is a logistical nightmare, consuming tons of expensive grain just to collect an insignificant handful of usable eggs, destroying your farm's efficiency. Deploying a heavy meat rooster over a robust Sasso hen corrects that structural flaw instantly, establishing the ultimate optimized cross. The Sasso hen provides her high, steady laying rate, guaranteeing a continuous pipeline of healthy chicks, alongside her ironclad immunity and the physical agility that makes pasture mating seamless. The industrial sire has one single job: to inject those rapid growth genes directly into the offspring. By pairing massive meat males with athletic, receptive Sasso females, the fertility rate of your flock shoots through the roof. The hybrids inherit the powerful survival engine of their mother, coupled tightly to the massive chassis of their father. It's the natural order perfectly aligned to boost productivity and give you complete autonomy. However, every elite homesteader needs to understand the hidden risks of their operation, and here lies the main disadvantage of crossing four-way commercial lines like the Cobb and the Ross. Because these birds are highly complex terminal hybrids, using them directly for breeding opens a Pandora's box of unavoidable genetic segregation. In your daily fieldwork, this translates directly to uneven flocks. Some chicks will pack on weight rapidly, looking almost identical to their massive meat father, while siblings display a narrower, elongated frame with a slower growth rate. This constant disparity forces you to sharpen your clinical eye and conduct staggered harvests, processing the giants of the flock first. Where this complex system silences any doubt is in the unbeatable final quality of the hybrid meat. By extending the rearing period past 10 weeks and allowing for constant muscular exercise thanks to those rugged Sasso genes, the anatomy of the bird completely transforms. Say goodbye to the soft, watery meat typical of commercial poultry. These specific crosses develop incredibly firm fibers, a deep pink coloration, and a texture that holds up perfectly to rustic cooking methods. Intramuscular fat infiltrates beautifully between the tissues, delivering an intense flavor and rich broths worthy of traditional farmsteads, while retaining massive meat volume. You're producing pure pasture excellence that no commercial barn could ever replicate. We leave the genetic instability of industrial lines to step into poultry nobility, where purebred blood dictates the pasture rules. Our first titan is the legendary Jersey Giant. Meticulously foraged to rival the turkey at large feasts, this American breed is a true feather-clad fortress. They're calm, docile giants equipped with outstanding weather resistance, acting as silent watchmen that patrol the ground with absolute authority. Their biomechanical development prioritizes building a monumental skeletal frame before packing on muscle, dictating a delayed sexual maturity around 6 months. Facility management requires careful attention. You need to install low roosting bars in your mobile shelters, keeping them under 18 inches to prevent severe joint blowouts when dismounting at dawn. They act as the perfect biological anchor for any flock. Feeding the Jersey Giant demands heavy, consistent rations to fuel that colossal chassis out in the field. A mature flock sire easily pushes past 13 pounds, while hens offer a steady production of 160 premium-grade eggs annually. To support this heavy bone expansion, your grower feed needs to run higher in calcium and phosphorus during early rearing to prevent leg deformities. On pasture, they're methodical foragers, but their massive frames require a baseline of 16% protein layer feed. From a sanitary perspective, keep a sharp eye out for bumblefoot. Their heavy footfalls make them susceptible to staph infections in the footpad, meaning your pasture rotation must prioritize soft, well-drained ground to keep these feathered giants moving flawlessly. The second purebred contender stepping into the ring is the imposing Cornish male. This compact beast originated in the rugged English terrain, serving as the raw bedrock upon which every modern broiler was ultimately built. When you look at a pure Cornish, you're staring at a solid block of unadulterated power. It boasts a wide stance, a dangerously low center of gravity, and unreal pectoral muscle development. Their temperament is that of a seasoned brawler, possessing a razor-sharp survival instinct to thrive outdoors. Unlike the Jersey Giant seeking length, the Cornish is hardwired for extreme meat accumulation right on the chest. They struggle with verticality, needing wide doors, ramped access, and absolutely zero high roosts, acting as a ground-dwelling powerhouse. This extreme genetic selection toward muscular hypertrophy comes at a steep reproductive and metabolic cost. A pure Cornish hen struggles to push past 80 eggs a year, making natural mating a mechanical challenge. For males, tipping the scales at over 10 pounds of dense meat requires a strict 18% protein ration from day one to support explosive breast tissue growth. When foraging, they aggressively hunt grubs but rely heavily on the feeder to sustain that mass. Field sanitary alerts revolve entirely around thermal regulation. Their incredibly heavy chests make them prone to acute heat stress. You have to provide ample shade structures, excellent cross-ventilation, and constant access to cool water during summer months, otherwise these dense birds will overheat. Visualize the first genetic collision in our pasture, running the tireless Sasso hen with the monumental Jersey Giant male. The offspring from this pairing is an absolute triumph of outdoor biomechanics, creating a resilient hybrid built for long-term growth. From their Sasso mother, chicks inherit immediate hybrid vigor, feathering out rapidly to build a natural shield against harsh environmental stressors. From their massive Jersey father, they absorb a genetic code commanding them to stretch their bone structure to the absolute limit. They evolve into highly efficient foraging machines, boasting deep carcasses that stand tall in the grass with astonishingly massive thighs. You won't need specialized low-profile housing. Their maternal agility shines through, allowing them to navigate standard mobile tractors easily. Reaching an optimal finish with this specific cross requires patience, demanding between 14 and 16 weeks to achieve a perfect meat-to-bone ratio. During this extended grow-out, they consume roughly 3.5 pounds of feed for every pound of body weight gained. Because of their towering structure, you need to closely monitor protein intake to avoid pushing muscle growth faster than their developing bones can support, offering a balanced 16% grower feed. The major sanitary watch-out here is parasitic load. Spending more weeks on the ground requires an aggressive pasture rotation to break worm life cycles. Ultimately, this cross delivers a premium roasting bird, often exceeding 7 pounds dressed, becoming the ultimate pride of any homesteader betting on heritage-style genetics. Moving to our second custom design, we face the explosive cross between the Sasso hen and the pure Cornish male. Here, our breeding strategy abandons bone expansion and zeroes in entirely on extreme muscular density. The offspring embody the exact definition of a high-performance, free-ranging meat bird. They seamlessly combine the agile chassis and strong lungs of the Sasso with the wide-set, heavy muscle genes of the Cornish. You get a bird possessing the endless energy of its mother to aggressively chase insects, coupled tightly with a broad breast inherited from its father. They navigate the pasture vigorously, packing a physical punch traditional breeds cannot match. Their housing needs are straightforward, utilizing standard pasture setups flawlessly while demanding abundant shade. This specific combination achieves an outstanding commercial weight in a much tighter window, hitting their prime between 12 and 14 weeks. Their feed conversion ratio is exceptional for a pasture bird, dropping down to about 2 3/4 pounds of feed per pound of body weight gained. To fuel this rapid meat accumulation without burning out internal organs, maintain a steady supply of high-quality grower rations alongside fresh forage. Sanitary alerts for the Sasso Cornish cross focus heavily on late-stage cardiovascular support. As they approach processing weight, their dense muscle mass generates immense body heat, making them susceptible to sudden heatstroke midday. The final dressed carcass showcases a plump, rounded breast pushing 6 pounds, delivering a flawless visual presentation. Returning to the golden rule of this reproductive strategy, the mathematical necessity of running the heavy purebred male over the Sasso female becomes glaringly obvious. The Sasso hen guarantees hundreds of fertile offspring thanks to her physical agility, which facilitates natural mating without the lethal stress heavy hens endure. Is it possible to run the reverse cross, putting a vigorous Sasso rooster over pure Cornish hens? Executing this is a devastating mistake. Heavy females have abysmal laying rates, consuming up to 6 ounces of premium breeder ration daily while returning an insignificant fraction of eggs. Your production costs per hatched chick would skyrocket. By utilizing purebred sires instead of commercial hybrids, you gain unbreakable genetic stability. Every single chick inherits the exact same physical traits, growing at the same rhythm and developing an identical carcass conformation, giving you total command over your pasture facilities. Finally, the ultimate trophy of this rigorous genetic selection is the unmatched culinary quality of the meat itself. By growing at a biologically sound pace and foraging day in and day out, the anatomy of these hybrids fundamentally transforms. The offspring of the Jersey Giant offer dark meat cuts with incredibly dense fibers and a deep, almost wild flavor profile, retaining natural juices flawlessly under heat. Cornish descendants deliver superb breasts that are firm yet tender, boasting an enviable infiltration of golden intramuscular fat directly resulting from constant pasture movement. There's absolutely no pale meat or watery textures here. You're producing elite, nutrient-dense protein rich in omega-3s. You forge an artisanal product with structural integrity that destroys any comparison with standard supermarket poultry, guaranteeing your customers will gladly pay a premium price for true field-raised excellence. So which of these powerful genetic crosses should you choose to dominate your farm's production? If your market demands immense carcasses, traditional dark meat cuts, and you have no rush, running the Jersey Giant over the Sasso is your absolute ace in the hole. But if you're hunting for an aggressive replacement for the industrial broiler, packing wide breasts and a faster growth cycle without surrendering that rugged hardiness, the Cornish blood is your best bet. This deep genetic dive proves that questioning the traditional system pushes us straight toward true producer independence. Knowledge without relentless application is just wasted time in the pasture. Let me know down in the comments which of these options makes the most sense for your setup. If you got some value out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up so we can keep bringing you practical homesteading advice. I always read your feedback and build these breakdowns based on the real challenges you face every day. Get out there and take control of your flock's future. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.